Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and call the Joint Standing Committee on Finance to order. And at this time, we're waiting for our other presenter, but we do have with us today Karen Shawfield. She's the CEO of Swan Hilltop House Hotel. We'd like to welcome her to finance. And we're eager to hear your presentation. Karen?
All right, does that work? All right. Oh, it's so tall. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I'm thankful for the warm welcome I've received in West Virginia. I do want to make clear I'm not an economist or an expert on business development. I can only speak from my own observations. Oh, thank you. Bless you. And personal experience. I've asked several of my friends who are CEOs or have served in government after a career in business to give me some of their insights as well. Many of these things you already know because you've already taken steps to create the atmosphere you hope will attract businesses. I'm sure that there's a general consensus that low corporate taxes or low taxes in general are what's required. However, that is not necessarily enough. It's a factor, but it might not be determinative. For my conversations with other CEOs, I would say the following things are necessary. First, predictability. This is a recognition that businesses will function well with reasonable regulations and laws that they can understand. Laws that change frequently make it difficult for businesses to plan. In addition, if changes need to be made to a law for specific classes of businesses or incentives, it would be important to not complicate an already arduous process. For instance, requiring votes at the local level, then getting a bill through a legislative process, and then requiring a vote at the local level again is an unnecessary hindrance, especially if an election might mean a change in the local body from the one that first approved the change. Second, accessibility to the internet. In today's connected world, access to the internet is crucial. I recognize the difficulty of connectivity in mountainous regions and have lived with really bad internet service personally for many years in the past. The problem is that it's no longer just an inconvenience. It's a hindrance to so many crucial elements of success. Schools at all levels are delivering content online, and employers are willing to employ remote workers if they are connected, including high-paying jobs in the field of cybersecurity. Figuring out how to deliver last mile coverage is expensive and it's a real challenge. I know this from Virginia. In Virginia, utilities in remote areas have been enabled to provide internet service through existing lines, although there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on that front. Third, and this I'm very, very passionate about, workforce training and career and technical education. My most recent experience with Winchester really brought home how important a skilled workforce is when attracting companies to an area. Only a small percentage of the workforce requires a 4-year degree. This is not to downplay the importance of a quality education, starting of course with preschool, through high school and beyond. Rather, it's recognizing a more purposeful approach which encourages acquiring the skills necessary for jobs today and providing through public-private partnerships the additional education to keep skills fresh and up to date. Employers are clamoring for help, and although companies are willing to train workers out of necessity, a company may choose to locate in West Virginia if there's a system that provides a trained workforce. I should also mention it's important to show the love to the companies that are already in West Virginia. Those companies have already shown their commitment, and it's often cheaper and easier to encourage those companies to expand their operations within the state. Public-private partnerships that help them get skilled workers could be an important element on their wish lists. In Winchester, for example, the top private companies are Valley Health System, Navy Federal Credit Union, Amazon, and Trex. In addition, farther down the list are Thermo Fisher Scientific, Kraft Heinz, American Woodmark, and McKesson. Sprinkled in among these companies are county government, higher education providers, and the FBI, FEMA, and the Army Corps of Engineers. What made Winchester attractive to these companies, and what other characteristics are typical of this growing community? Well, Winchester is a diverse community. Only 40% of their high school seniors go on to four-year institutions. That leaves 60% of students who need a viable path into a job and training. Valley Health is the largest employer. That's not unusual, and it's why a significant portion of the Shahada Innovation Center and Laurel Ridge Community College are geared towards training in healthcare professions. In addition, many of the large companies in Winchester have financially contributed to the Shahada Innovation Center, as well as working on curriculum and providing apprenticeships and internships, truly becoming partners with the community. Winchester has a few important assets. Companies like to locate where the cost of living is reasonable, where companies can pay a living wage. Winchester has a close-knit community, good public education, good pathways into the workforce through the public and private partnerships, and they're located on the I-81 corridor with inland port facilities. So the next item, understanding the brand you want to attract. Most major companies have a mission and a brand that governs where they will locate. For example, Amazon has sustainability goals that include their climate pledge to be net zero carbon by 2040 and to power all operations by 2025 with 100% renewable energy. Amazon is not alone. Many large brands have similar goals. As part of the packages attracting businesses to Virginia, utilities guarantee that they can purchase 100% renewable energy. You may choose not to attract businesses that feel this is an important part of their brand, but more and more companies are focusing on this goal. Trex views sustainability and environmental responsibility as a fundamental part of their business. Kraft Heinz also has a goal for renewable to be a majority of all power used by 2025. In addition, they also have a goal of 50% of their employees being women by 2025 and 30% of their employees being people of color by 2025, which leads to the next consideration, which is diversity. Employers want to make sure that all qualified employees feel comfortable wherever they locate. Again, different companies have different goals towards diversity, but executives want to feel comfortable living in your state and they want their employees to feel welcome. Being known as a place that fosters diverse conversations and freedom of speech, even if you don't agree with everything, is an important ingredient. 75% of decisions regarding the location of a company is made by the CEO. That's a quote from a CEO. I don't know if that's an actual true, but I can tell you that they are going to determine where they're going to go. And a lot of that's where they're going to feel comfortable. The next part is healthcare. Any employer will care that their employees have access to decent healthcare. And I don't want to get political, but increasingly this has encompassed family planning. Again, these are decisions you make as legislators, the type of companies you want to attract. I'm certainly not telling you how you should feel, but I am saying your decisions will affect the type, size, and quality of companies that may come to your state. So, what are the opportunities? West Virginia is a beautiful state, a state with excellent higher education institutions, great resources, and foremost of those resources, it's people. In some ways, you could look at Pittsburgh as a parallel. Pittsburgh made a remarkable transition from a primarily industrial city, but through the concerted effort of government, private companies, nonprofits, and wealthy individuals who did not abandon the community, the transformation was possible. In Virginia had to transform from an economy that transitioned from a federal government-based economy. Bringing diversity in the industry mix was really important. And in Virginia's case, Virginia created a commission that thought strategically about what type of companies would fit Virginia's goals and for which Virginia could offer exciting incentives. It helped that Virginia was known to be moderate, business-friendly, and did not have huge policy swings that would make companies nervous. Top CEOs in the Commonwealth came together to help in this effort and to mentor emerging business leaders. As an important exercise, West Virginia could do a heat map that looks at existing assets like population centers, transportation hubs, natural resources, and educational facilities. Certain areas with promise may emerge, and resources could be directing at areas that lack some of the elements of success. Good news is that West Virginia is already being noticed as a prime choice for locating certain businesses. More good news is that people are choosing to live here because of West Virginia's assets, its beauty, its recreational facilities and resorts. The impression of what West Virginia can change. West Virginia is a great and pleasant surprise. And West Virginia is primed for a transition into this new economy. West Virginia has the opportunity to emerge as a leader. In particular, let me address the hard-hit coal areas of the state. Because I've done a lot of work in energy policy, let me clearly say that picking a fuel source is largely a financial decision. Green energy emerged as a cheap fuel source, but before renewables became economically viable, cheap natural gas overtook coal because it was cheaper. So the question is, what are the opportunities here? First of all, there will still be a demand for metallurgical coal. Second, there is an opportunity to produce rare earth minerals from these areas. And as a matter of national security, our ability to produce our own power and produce the elements we need to make solar panels and batteries that move us forward, so we're not dependent upon foreign powers for energy, are really important. Third, these areas already have the infrastructure to carry electricity produced through solar and wind into the grid where it's needed. In addition, there are funds set up specifically to invest in these areas that harvest credits for conservation, nutrient banking, and stream remediation while still allowing more traditional activities like timbering. Imagine attracting companies to West Virginia by producing the green energy they need for their sustainability goals, having a skilled workforce pipeline, and making these companies meaningful partners in financially supporting the education of this workforce and the community. Attracting companies that truly want to be a pillar of the community for generations to come. I would also encourage West Virginia through its Tourism Bureau to create programs to make everyone who interacts with tourists, all travelers and potential business seeking to learn about West Virginia into ambassadors for the state. Make every person who interacts knowledgeable about the unique history of the state, its points of interest, really reflecting the pride that you feel about your state. I fell in love with the people of West Virginia, the beauty of West Virginia, and the history of West Virginia, enough to have made a substantial investment, which I hope will soon come to fruition. So I thank you for your time and for the work you do for the state. And I know that it really is a labor of love.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Questions for our presenter? Questions?
I've stunned you.
Boy. All right, Delegate Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Karen, always a pleasure to see you. Can you give us just an update on the Hilltop House?
Yes. Well, we've gotten a lot of substantial work down. As you saw, we have taken down and dismantled the old hotel, which was structurally unsound. We've salvaged and all of the original stones that were used on the outside, they were piled, you saw them piled up. We've made sure that we've done all of our applications for all of the historic parts of the property. Those have been done and completed, which will then inform of the work we go forward. Right now, we're in an interesting time between supply chain inflation and the fact that banks aren't lending. We're in an interesting point. We have several very large potential investors who we're talking with who are very interested, but we still need to be able to get some bank financing. And we're going to be working hard on figuring out how to do that because we need a construction loan. That being said, no work is stopping. We are continuing to fix the outside of the historic buildings, putting on new roofs. We've done all the environmental remediation. And with the help of the state, honestly, we feel very confident about our permitting path. We're continue to be completely transparent. We're hoping to start building up in the spring.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate. Further questions? Further questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Karen, for your wonderful presentation. So the committee will be at ease for a moment while we get our next presenter. All right, to give the committee a little heads up, Secretary Ruby is double booked. She is over in the Judiciary Committee presenting to Judiciary right now. So we're going to give her about 15 minutes and then we'll make an executive decision on what we're going to do. Maybe somebody can sing or tell jokes or something. Just an update for the committee. We've been told 5 minutes. So she's taking questions right now. So 5 minutes. Where's Gerhard at? Do you want to sing, Gerhard? Okay, the committee, the Joint Standing Committee on Finance will come to order. The clerk will take a silent roll to determine a quorum, and a quorum is present. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. The chair calls on the co-chair for purposes of the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move the minutes of the previous meeting.
You've heard the motion from the co-chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the minutes stand approved. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, she is still answering questions, so we're making the executive decisions to have her come back and meet with us in December. So with that, the chair calls on the co-chair for the purposes of a motion.
I move to adjourn.
You've heard the motion from the co-chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.